is doing the countdown right now. Boom, we are live. So
Hello.
quickly, YouTube people, thank you so much for tapping in. Just a couple shout outs I want to get out the way. First, shout out to the young lady on the platform today. Like I said, I was this was very much in the works for about a month now. I was very hyped to even have the prospect to tap in with a sister like this. But outside of that, also want to give a shout out to Buddies as well. As you see, I got my little Buddy shirt on. Shouts out to Buddies, man. Shouts out to Pruf Cultivar. I will be smoking one of their infused pre-rolls today. Throwing a little 2 cents on what I feel it is, or whatever the case may be. And yeah, without further ado, I'm gonna pass it to the young girl Elle. Feel free to let the people know more or less the 5 W's about yourself.
Yeah, so my background's in finance. I came out of finance from grad school and kind of did the corporate route. Ran a commodities fund in New York for a while, including, actually kind of all kind of commodities. And, herb is obviously one commodity that was not legalized back then, but it is now. And, I got hired on to run an indoor grow op. And from that, we transitioned. And so now I'm one of 3 partners in Astral Cannabis. We're an edibles brand here in Portland, Oregon. I'm rocking one of our shirts. You can see it. And
Yeah.
that's how
Hey, you get a shirt.
Yeah. Well, you got to tell me what size you are, and we can throw one your way.
Hey, listen, YouTube people. She wasn't even acting like this behind the scenes. She ain't asking my size last time we met, but hey, it's all good. Hey, we'll talk about that, Miss Elle. We ain't gonna call you out now, but
see, that's how we were not connected, Joey. I walked in, we had like a dope shirt, and he's like, "Hey, I like your shirt." I'm like, "It's my brand."
Yeah.
We just kind of started talking about, cannabis and being a person of color in cannabis, being a woman in cannabis, being, on the pioneering front end of, what we want to see in the industry, not just from, cannabis itself, but from business and from the economy, and creating spaces for Black and brown people to really kind of partake in this economy and create some wealth for themselves generationally, and be some of the thought leaders in an industry which is now legalized. Previously, we've seen a disproportionate incarceration of Black and brown people for this use of the very same plant. So that's kind of one of the ethos behind our company. We are completely 100% BIPOC, LGBTQ plus ownership, and all of our investors current date. So that's something we're really proud of. We're really, really mindful of making spaces for Black and brown people through our business enterprises. So that's kind of on the business side, which is really, my role in this company is operations. I love doing sales too, and that's kind of how Joey and I met too. I walked into Weedland and met him there in Portland, Oregon. So that's kind of the fun aspect for me, but also from the product development side, like I've got an amazing team of product developers. My 2 partners also are very heavily invested in what we're creating, and we just want weed to be fun again, right? Like it's become legalized, and there's, obviously rules and regulations need to be in place in terms of enterprise and commerce. But when you're consuming, we want weed to be fun. That's the premise behind it, right? It is also a medicine. So we look at it in both, both spectrums and both forums. And moreover, it's a delicious gummy. If you guys haven't tried it, I'm not just pitching it. Go out, hit me up. I'll let you know where you can pick it up and check it out. Try it. It's fucking delicious.
So wow. A lot to digest there. So I might need to be reminded of very few details, but what I want to start with is to me it's real important. Not only the fact that, as you said, people of color in cannabis, which if you look at statistics and stuff, I don't know if through Hustle and Smoke, I definitely try to look into some of these nuances and really tap in and see where something could be different, or just understanding the overall concept in general. So I say that to say, you look at the statistics, and like something like not even, don't call me on it, but I could have sworn like not even 1% of owners in the cannabis industry are people of color.
Yeah,
Allegedly. I don't know how true. You could probably give me the actual figure, but once again, I say that to say that it's an advancement, and like, I come from New York where, like, I'm sure it was very taboo, almost like you were almost looked at the same level of the creep down the street because you were smoking a joint, and so coming from that, like, I've really want to promote a space where people could come through and like listen to people like yourselves, and they could look at, oh shit, this a woman in cannabis. Like, we haven't even touched on the quote unquote women in cannabis, because the women owners are less to none outside ladies like yourself. And I had the pleasure of working my first dispensary, Homegrown Oregon, was actually all women owned. So from the top, all the top was women. So I say that to say that it was a hell of a good opportunity, because it was how I was introduced to the cannabis industry. So I got a chance to really look at just that spectrum of it, and then learn from it. And then, like I said, some of these women that I was working with, like, to this day, I'll say that they're my best coworkers, and that's because I learned so much through them. Like, for example, I don't know if she want me to put a name out there, but shouts out to Missy. Missy, you know who you are. You're real smart, real astute young lady when it comes to the cannabis game. Shouts out to Cannabis Charlie. I actually had got her on my pod when it was back in the IG days or whatever. I say that like it was a long time ago. It was like last week, but like I said, the IG days a while back, I had her on, and like, I was like humbled to be in that environment, because I feel like when people kind of throw that all woman or woman in general, like, people kind of get a scope, almost like intimidated, I feel like. But like, I felt like I was really championing a movement, and although obviously I'm not employed with them no more, I don't really tap in with them no more, but it's always love, because like I said, like, I got my feet wet through that experience, and now it's like, I'm making moves. I ain't gonna we ain't gonna talk too much, but hey, Hustle and Smoke is on. You know what I mean? So that means something good might be happening. Allegedly, everything else is alleged.
Women, look, women are creators, right? Like, we create.
Oh, like, yes, ma'am.
The cannabis plant is a female plant, right? So like, it's a very powerful dynamic to be a female steward, if you like, of this very, very powerful plant. And like, going back to the stigmatism of, if you're smoking a joint on the corner, you're like this bum, right? That actually historically was a political positioning. If you look back at the history of how the plant was stigmatized and illegalized. And if you look back at our ancestry, it's actually, I'm part South Asian. My husband's Black American. And if you look at our ancestry, we actually used the plant as a medicine, much as.
Are you kidding me? Yeah, man. You gotta look at Genghis Khan and shit like that. These dudes was fucking Confucius, I'm sure, was getting hot in the motherfucker.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Excuse my French. Excuse my French. But yeah, he was getting hot, I'm sure.
All the words, ganja, that comes from Sanskrit, right? It's South Asian. Kush, that comes from Sanskrit, South Asian, right?
I didn't know that. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot. And actually, you guys, shout out to Desi Cannabis Collective. I'll at them at you.
Oh, word. Yeah, fact. Shouts out to them. I know a little about them.
They do a lot of education on like where cannabis actually came from and the power of it and the destigmatization of this illegalization of the plant and the use of, right? Because it is like, a lot of people use turmeric, right? They use matcha. Cannabis is the same damn thing in terms of, it's a plant, it's a healer, it's medicine, right? Why have we bastardized it and made it, a criminal thing? Well, there was a political movement behind why that happened in the U.S.
Oh, no doubt. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And prior to the U.S., even colonial times, British colonial times, through India, became illegalized, right? And that's where we get all this stigma. But as with anything, overuse with anything, alcohol, you're going to have bad side effects.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So use responsibly. Obviously. Yeah, exactly. Use responsibly, obviously, but stop taking the fun out of things, man. Like life is short, right?
Mm-hmm.
Live well, right? Use cannabis responsibly, just as you would use anything else, and pick products that you would use that you enjoy consuming, and really get educated on the space. You know, like I spend a lot of time educating people on like why we should destigmatize this plant, you know, and why it's inappropriate for brown people to have been disproportionately incarcerated in this country for the use of the plant that is now legalized, and many, frankly, white corporate powers pour money into this industry and are, you know, facilitating upward social and economic mobility for themselves. So it's only appropriate that there are avenues for Black and brown people to create revenue for themselves, for their families, for the generations after them, and also inspire other Black and brown people to come in and take a stake and take a claim and take a seat at this table that was built by us, right? It was
real quickly. I wanna piggyback off that and say that I definitely think, like, even though, like, don't get it twisted, you know, I do a little bit of the inventory management end of things. You know, I'm still on the field though. You know, I'm still the first face you see when you walk in that building, and like I make sure that I even kind of check myself sometimes and remind myself that is a certain level of scrutiny that is kind of supposed to be carried from, you know, myself and yourself, in the fact that, you know, like you said, we're both quote unquote people of color,
yeah,
or brown, whatever. And like I said, you know, you on your end, me and my end, I feel like we're both like really kicking the door in. Like, it's crazy. Like I said, I've never, like, it's definitely like, and just to go back on the women in cannabis end of it, like I feel like in cannabis more, it's so evident how like how women kind of just make up the fabric of it all.
mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, and like I said, going from the all woman dispensary, like all woman owned dispensary, I remember times where, like, of course there was guys in there,
Yeah,
but
sure.
like the women was the one holding shit down. Like the women was the one being deferred to and all that. And honestly,
that's real life too. That's real life. That's outside of cannabis.
real quick though. You know, I only say that to point out the fact that when you think of workspaces and stuff, that's a fucking advancement. Like, that's progress. That's like, you know, the next guy can't sit there and be like, that's a woman. Maybe like one would be in let's say in another field like the NBA versus the WNBA.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's very hard for one to be like, oh yeah, no, you're a woman, so you can't sell cannabis. It's just like, nah, like it's women.
That's how
women making it happen for real. So like,
that's how it was on Wall Street, right? There were very few women. There were very few women of color. There were very few young women. At that time, I was young. I mean, I'm still young, but I was younger, right? And cannabis really does, the beauty of it is that it allows for women to take a stake, people of color to take a stake and say, hey, we really want to be part of creating this industry from the bottom up, because it's still pretty new, you know.
And you know, real quickly, while it's fresh in my mind, I want to give a huge shout out to some of the women owned companies out here. You know, you got well, I don't know if they're 100% woman owned. I'm sure they got a woman up there though, and that's Evolved. Meraki, I know for a fact is 100% woman owned.
Yeah.
Shout out to Meraki. Man, what's I know there's one more. Oh, Laurie Mary Jane.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. Hey man, shout out to Laurie Mary Jane, man. I don't know if she's a real person or not.
Yeah, she is. I went to their kitchen. It's
oh
nice.
Man, I could only imagine like how pristine it is to just like be able to be in that same kitchen. Like you almost feel like you like with Guy Fieri and shit, like ready to flip pots and shit, man. Listen, like I said, it's dope because, you know, I'm seeing it from a bird's eye view. Like just like how, you know, you walked into the spot and it was, oh, what's going on? Well, how could we, you know, whatever. Like I'm reaching out to everybody, and it's like it's dope because everybody reaching back. You understand? Not everybody, but like,
well, that's the nice
back.
That's the nice thing about this industry, right? It is about community. Well, the real players,
very much so.
Community, right? Like, you know, just connecting with whomever.
Networking.
and reconnecting everybody else. Yeah, people always reach out. You do good, you get good, and it's just kind of that, you know, honor system of facilitating growth for everybody in the industry, because there is a lot of space that can be filled and needs to be filled, and you know, our voices do matter, and that should be what's shaping the future of cannabis in and of itself. You know.
No, absolutely, sister. So now what I kind of want to segue in is talking about the brand itself.
Yeah,
So
sure.
what, like, can you give me a little bit in the way of like what are some obstacles that was in the process of, you know, propelling the brand? What did you run into any troubles with, you know, the big bad whoops up top, like, and obviously surface level, obviously very surface level. But I also, you know, I want to ask that because, you know, God forbid, you know, like I said, this show is very much to throw you out there and like let the people see you, let the people know.
Yeah.
This cannabis industry is no fucking joke. Like, and that's how much passion is in my heart when I say it. I had to say fucking, like it's that serious. Like, and you know, I want you to, you know, throw motivation out there because I'm sure, you know, it's women that may have never known that they shit was even possible. Like it's people, it's regular people in New York that I talk to on a regular that still is absolutely astonished by everything that's going on over here on this side.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, man, like there's a world outside of your four walls. You just got to go look for it.
And
you know,
man, that's true everywhere, you know.
Absolutely, but real just to end it up, you know, wrap it up. I wanted to ask you that, you know, any trials and tribulations, you know,
many, right? Like one, because of the type of industry we're in, banking, right? Like how do you get a bank account?
Yes.
You know, that's a headache in and of itself, right? There's only a very few handful of banks that even allow cannabis companies to have an account, right? So first of all, you have to get in line.
If any, honestly, if any.
Yeah, no, there are a few. So that took what seemed like forever, but 3 or 4 months. It shouldn't take that long. It literally is like you go in, you open a bank account. That's how it should be, right? So, but we were able to get over that pre-launch, obviously, because we, you know, wanted to set things up.
I couldn't be this far into it and have those problems. I know.
Yeah, for sure. But there are companies out there that get shut down all the time, you know, and then you have to go get another bank account. We haven't had that because we actually sourced a bank that does allow cannabis banking. But you know,
shout out to that bank, man. Hey, I don't know if you want to like let them know let the people know who they are.
Yeah, there's a few. You know, I'm not gonna really, I can't really talk about it because I don't want people knowing.
No. I'm not gonna force you to. I'm just saying.
There's a few. And if anybody wants to know, like, you can hit me up, and I'm happy to like provide a list of.
Yeah. Oh, I absolutely will. Absolutely. So, that's big. That's huge.
It is huge. But that's, you know, structurally, you know, setting up a LLC, all of that went all fine. R&D work, you know, in terms of working with the OLCC, you know, that's kind of strenuous, right? Like going back and forth with them. And
guys is the mob. Those guys is the mob.
Yeah, they are.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah. So, you know, packaging and like performing on packaging and, you know, things like that to get a product to market. It's expensive. Trial and error, right? Like see what works, what doesn't work, you know, what cost is.
Real quick, I actually just hold that thought real quickly. I want to give you your flowers on the packaging. What I found with you guys' packaging is that it was very practical. I'm noticing that like these companies, and listen, I'm not mentioning nobody by names, but they really trying to like reinvent the wheel with packaging. And it's just like, dude, like, what the fuck happened to just a box?
Yep.
And honestly, like I said, it may seem simple, but I give you your flowers for that because, you know, like I said, I'm noticing, you know, across the board.
Yeah.
You're looking at these packagings and you're like, man, like, are you selling the packaging or the product?
Yeah. And I mean, part of it is right, R&D in terms of you know, you have to have child-proof, child-resistant, whatever, right? So that's changes. Number two, honestly, there are so many products that I tried personally of competitors' products where you open the package and the whatever you're getting, the gummy is stuck on the inside of the package. So you have to like rip it apart, break it apart, take the whole thing out. Man, that shout out to Riley Parker, my partner who designed the packaging. Shout out to Kevin Collins, my other partner.
Oh, by the way, if you want to have them on, well, I mean,
they're not available right now. They're in another meeting, but we can have them on another time.
no, yeah, I'm just letting it be known if you want.
Yeah. But shout out to those guys because they are they run the entire marketing strategy department as well, and they came up with this very, very elegant solution, which is easy. We're actually moving over from the boxes to Mylar bags, but this is one of the things, right? There's constant evolution of product and packaging and ingredients because we want the best product for the best price possible, but not losing the integrity of what the quality of the product is and the brand. It's not just about product.
Ooh, that's bars. That's bars right there, because that's one thing that real quickly I feel like it gets lost in the sauce. Because like I said, I'm in the field. Boots is on the ground, so I'm seeing a lot of what people is kind of putting out there.
Yep.
And like I said, it's like, man, you'll have the most immaculate packaging.
Thank you.
Product is iffy though. How does that work? You understand? So I'm gonna let you keep going. I just wanted to throw the flowers there for that because, like I said, it gets lost that.
Just wait till you
see quality product. You know what I mean?
Yeah, wait till you try the vegan. Right, the vegan's coming out in a few weeks. The packaging is dope. You're gonna like it even more than what the box that you like right now that you're talking about. I can't wait for you to try it, but. It's that constant evolution, the constant genesis of products. Bring great product, bring great packaging, bring great brand to the forefront.
Yeah.
And that's going to compete with the low cost leaders, right? Like I don't want to create like a shit edible that's $5 out the door, right? That's made with, I don't know.
Hey sis, be careful. It's some good $5 edibles out there though. It might not be.
That's not what I want to create. That's not my name, right? Like I want to create, something like boutique, something curated. Our products are really like aimed for the everyday consumer, aimed for the consumer who made cannabis legal. We welcome the kind of curious, but one of our ethos is like, hey, a lot of these brands are creating brand for who? We want to create for the culture. We're from the culture. We want to create for the culture. The culture is what allowed the consumers who consumed pre-legalization is what allowed legalization, right? So that's really what our brand's about. It's about community. It's about consuming for fun. It's about connecting with our community and providing them with, fun videos to watch, music shows and events. And I'll hit you up for the next one. So you should come by.
Please do.
We do comedy events. We do live music. We partner with our dispensaries. So it's really about feeding back into the community constantly, man.
And I mean, honestly, that's really like that's what it's supposed to be. It's like, it's very hard to go from, because like I said, I'm from New York, so like everything that has to do with cannabis from when I started to even right before I left, it was a real taboo thing. So like, and now that it's legal in New York, like, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if months from now you're telling me you moving your shit out there, because it's like it's crazy. It's crazy how open that market is about to be, and it's crazy how the back end market is about to be too. Which is the next topic I want to segue into real quick. Real quickly though, I want to thank everybody that's on this right now. Anybody that watches the afterlife, this is a dope young lady right here. Definitely take in some of those jewels, ladies, because if y'all want to have a little business, you don't got to go to OnlyFans. You don't got to go, and there ain't nothing wrong with going to these places. Hey, go ahead, sis, get your bread. But all I'm saying is that it's always routes. So we here showing you a route. So like I said, just take heed. Everybody take heed to what this young lady's saying, But what I want to segue into is, I remember when we first chopped it up or whatever, you told me you from New York, or not, no, from London. But you were in New York for an amount of time. So I'm sure you kind of had run-ins with the cannabis market, I guess you could call it.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah, no, I did.
Can you speak on maybe like the wildest experience you've had, like trying to like get your hands on some? And then can we also talk about where do you think legalization will take the black market over there to? Go.
Where do I think legalization will take the black market over there? You know, it's hard to say because state by state it's different, right? What we have seen is where we've seen, you know, in some states we've seen, without naming states and getting into trouble for speaking up upon it like this. In some states, what we do see is it actually drives the black market even harder, right? Because
Yes.
local guy on the block, right? Like,
hey, I'll do it for you.
Spot. He wants to go to. He's loyal to his, you know, buddy on the block who like supplies him his stuff, right? So, you know, there is a problem, and of course, that's going to be rectified at some point through regulation and legalization, and you know,
time.
Yeah.
I want to piggyback real quickly. I'll be the one to say it. I actually read an article about a week ago, literally a week ago, because I remember this article, and it was saying how in, I want to say it's Wisconsin, you know, they have their little you know, program running, but it's not jumping off. So they actually found what you just said. People stayed with the plug.
Yeah.
Now, I'm gonna let you continue on that, but I just, because I know we gotta be politically correct. I'll be the one to say that because I know I remember reading that article and it was like it had said something to the tune of, man, like, you know, you know, the amount of like stuff that you could have growing, I think it's like 12 plants over there. That's startup capital. Are you kidding me? 12 plants? You can fund the whole dispensary with 12 plants. Listen, but you see, like that has to be a thought in one's head. You know, like I've thrown it out there in past episodes a couple of times. It's like, man, like if anybody, like I've said it at work, like I've told people, like, man, like, what do you think if some of these growers out here that is doing beautiful work, by the way, shouts out to all the growers in Oregon. Y'all is killing the motherfucking game right now. Y'all is like Frankenstein. Well, no. The doctor that created Frankenstein trying to create another Frankenstein, trying to create the next Frankenstein after that. So I give them their flowers about it, but I'm also noticing that it's just it's such a disconnect, you know, like
because they've tried to commercialize it, right? Like the industry in and of itself is trying to commercialize a product, but what they've done is they've left behind the culture, right? Which is what we are really, really, really like mindful of. We're not trying to leave behind the culture because we are the culture, right? So we're bringing product, but we're also bringing culture, right? Like nobody wants to go in. Well, nobody who's accustomed to the black market wants to go into a super curated store that looks like a Nordstrom, right? And pick out whatever they want.
You'd
right?
be surprised.
I'm
gonna play devil's advocate with you and say you'd be surprised, but you are right. Like me actually being on this end of it now.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't speak to you like I've never been, you know, but maybe somebody that's never been, you know, but go ahead. You got it. You got the floor, sis.
No, but I mean, no, I hear you. Like I like going into nice dispensaries. I'm like me personally, but I'm saying the regular guy on the block, you know, who's down in New York, like
Yeah.
I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, let me go.
What the fuck is this, B? Ain't no 2 for 15s, B. What the fuck you mean, B?
Yeah.
Man, boy, listen. But that's why I moved. Like I'm good on it, man. Listen.
Fair. But I'm just saying, like that part of the culture, right, is always going to be that part of the culture. It's not going to all of a sudden want to go into curated spaces. Now that it's legalized, there are in the states that it is, there are spaces where you are destigmatizing use, just as if you would go to a bar to get a drink, right? You go to certain states, cannabis lounge, to smoke, to eat, to consume, to whatever, right? There are restaurants that use.
Wait, there's stuff like that out here?
Not in Oregon, but
man.
Yeah, Cali, you know.
DM me that Addy real quick because I'm there.
Hey, let me tell you, I'm telling you it's going to happen here too, because Cali and Oregon and Colorado and these, you know, kind of first mover states, right? They are leading the way. And like other states look to us, right? They look to us for which direction are we going to go? You know, what's the legislation say? What are we allowing? What's quote unquote safe, right? How do they move in a way that they're creating revenue for the state, they're creating commerce for, you know, the people that live there, but they're also regulating it, right? And they look to California, they look to Oregon.
That's a big word right there, regulating it.
Mhm.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Mhm.
Go ahead. Love that.
I do agree regulation needs to happen because we do need to make sure that, people are consuming safe products, right? Particularly in the edible space, right? Because if you're buying off the black market, who knows what you're putting into it? Who
And
knows
then
what's
you gotta remember, once you put something in a package, that you baked, cooked, whatever,
yeah.
that shelf life starts to matter. You know what I mean? And
Definitely.
I,
Consistency, like you got to think about consistency, right? Each of our bodies processes THC, CBD, CBG, CBN, whatever differently, right? And if I'm taking a bite of something and it's supposed to be 5 milligrams, I want to have, and I buy another thing that's the exact same brand, right? Black market, legal market, whatever, green market, as I call it. I want to feel the same way every single time. I want some consistency. You cannot guarantee that on the black market. Not that you can guarantee it in life in general, but
yeah, I was gonna say, okay.
at least the regulation beholds the manufacturers, the brands, whoever to some degree of conforming, right? Conforming.
No, absolutely, absolutely. It's definitely a level of conformity,
Mhm.
even in a state where where it's legal, 1,000%.
Yeah.
And it's just so weird, like, and that's really kind of like the beauty of the whole industry too, because
Mhm.
look, I started a whole podcast behind this industry. Like, this is the 17th episode, and there's a bunch of other little episodes in here and there. So like, I literally made a whole joint just off cannabis, and like years ago, it that thought just wasn't like even a thought. It was just like, man, like, yeah, let me call Kev, and hey, shout out to my boy Kev. Let me call Kev and see what he's doing. Let me go to, we're going to the basement, smoke some bud. You know what I mean? And like,
but this is a real good way to like exchange, ideas, thoughts, mentorship. Or if you got, a great bud, you got to let people know that this is a great bud because whoever's growing it deserves to have that sold, right? Whether
and by the way, my YouTube people, I will be doing all type of reviews. I will be, hey, listen, any company that want to collab with the kid, I'm Joey from Joey's Me. I am Joey. Joey.com is my Instagram. But all I'm saying is that definitely look out for some dope reviews. I'm definitely going to review an Astral treat product. Absolutely.
You better.
Absolutely.
I thought you were going to say I'm Joey from the block.
Come on, sis. Come on, sis. Come on, sis. Come on, sis. That's all I'm gonna say on that. But all I'm saying is that, I'm also, real quickly for the people, my first pre-recorded, I'm gonna teach y'all how to roll. I'm gonna teach y'all how to roll joints. I'm gonna teach you how to roll backwood. I'm gonna teach you how to roll swisher. I'm gonna teach you how to roll Dutch. I'm gonna teach you how to roll all that. So tap in. All I'm saying, Miss L, is that it's crazy because you are right in that, like, it's a culture, but it's still very much like, it's still a lot of sidestepping going on. I feel like, even from the corporate end where, you hear all around the industry, they're withholding this much. This much is still in the vault somewhere, and it's just like, man, like, I remember
that's diamonds, right? De Beers withholds however much of their diamonds to increase the value of what is out there, in the market, right?
I actually didn't know that. That's crazy.
Check it out.
And you think that it's like, you have a conversation like this with somebody that's never been to Oregon, like, huh? And not a legal state too. They're like, what?
Yeah.
Is this like a dreamland that we're talking about? Like, nah, like, and it's crazy because, like I said, like, I like to consider, me a lot less, but me, people I see every day. When I go in there, we're pioneers in this motherfucker. Like, really, like when shit really jumps off and every state is smoking some bud legally, like we gonna be able to tell our kids stories like, man, y'all young is not doing it. Fuck out of here. You know what I mean? Like, we could almost like puff our chest out because, like, not only did we come from a place where like I had older people coming in all the time, like, man, I never thought I'd see a place like this. And they're senior citizens. They're like 70, 80. And it's like, it hits different because I'm like, man, like I'm 25 in the game and I'm fucking running right now, and I'm running for a minute, and it's like you know, now they just now getting to see shit like this. It's like, man, you know, it gives you an appreciation, but it also like it humbles you heavy because you're like, man, like, you know, we really some motherfucking pioneers, man. If we, you know, we one big event away from it being global, if it's not already. Allegedly. Listen, all YouTube, everything I'm saying is alleged. YouTube, I don't want no trouble. I don't want no smoke. I'm new to the game. Please let my page live, YouTube. Anyway, like I was saying, you know, but it's crazy though because I really enjoy being just in the center of it. You know, like I enjoy being like, you know, because to get not too much into detail, but in New York, you know, I sold some bud for some time. Everybody in New York, I feel like sold some bud at some point, and it's like, you know, I walked into this. I'm like, man, this is a walk in the park, man. And not only that, but I'm networking. You know, I'm tapping in with people like yourself. You know, I'm tapping in with people that I'd probably never even speak to in the outside on the regular basis.
That's also another beauty of this industry, right? You again, because it's community based, right? You can talk to people and, you know, say, hey, I'm trying to grow. I'm not actually grow, maybe grow plant, but I'm trying to grow as a person in this business. In this community. I'm trying to learn, you know. It's really, really hospitable, you know. And if they're not, whatever, man. There are some people that are not that open and hospitable, but again, it's about the culture, it's about the community, it's about the good products, and it's about keeping that bar high and like us being part of the conversation of how do we keep this bar high. We don't want this to be an industry where there's all shit, you know, or there's a majority shit, you know.
And you know, I just want to say, like, I've met some of the best people in the cannabis industry. Like, you know, for example, you know, shouts out to Local Variety. You know, them guys. Like, I'm actually so tapped in with them. I could call the guy that runs the shit on the phone.
Yeah.
Right now. And like, you know, I say that to say I always make sure I let it be known. I'm not bragging when I say it. I'm just trying to say, like, in the end of the day, like I met some of the dopest people. Like I was telling, you know, one of my friends the other day, like, dog, I don't even like outside of my mom's and like my sisters, like I ain't getting no phone call on my birthday. And it is what it is. I mean, we kind of outgrow that after a certain time, I like to think anyway. But that's to say, like, I've met people that have just literally said, I'm like, oh, word? They're like, word, bro. It's like that. That's you. I'm like, oh, wow. And it's like, yo, like, I'm just Joe. You know what I mean? I'm just talking to the people. I'm just tapping in. And like I said, every day I walk in there, it's like I'm a pup. I'm a little pup.
Yeah,
I mean, every day is something new to learn.
You know, this is how old you are, right? Like, even if you're like 80, right? That hunger, that thirst for knowledge, that share with what you have learned with the generations after you. Again, that's coming back to our brand. Like, we really do believe in like creating this space and sharing with the future generations a space and creating this space to allow them to continue enjoying and receiving medicine and, you know, living life kind of free, you know, and that's kind of what cannabis is about, right? So.
And real quickly, now that I remember, it was something you said earlier that I wanted to expound on. You know, you said the plant literally is a female, right?
Yeah.
And it's so funny you say that because I remember, you know, once again, shouts out to Local Variety. I actually had the pleasure to tour their grow not that long ago. I want to say back in March, you know, and like the gentleman that was there, he was telling me, he was like, man, like, I be playing all type of sweet shit for the plants. Like, he talking about some, man, I'm playing some Sade and shit. I'm like, oh, whoa, like, man, it's like what do you, oh, like, man, you making love to the plants. He's like, man, it's dead ass just like that. And it's like, you know, seeing what comes of a quote unquote good grow or whatever, it's beautiful. And you really think about like, man, this is like a Mozart waving his wand like that, just like, looking at the symphony. He might be laying on the floor just with the arm up, just doing that, and the symphony's just like a gust of wind, you know. And it's like, it's crazy because, like you said, it really is a female, you know, and you gotta like really like show it love. You gotta.
Oh, it's the creator of life.
I remember being so astonished by that. I was like, wow. Here I am thinking you guys are just some Johnny Appleseed ass dudes just growing some shit. Nah, y'all over here doing all type of dope shit, man. It's like, I literally like that's the reason I started this podcast. Like I'm looking to heavy tap in with all type of people. Like shit, L. If you could let me know if I could ever tour you guys' place of actually like making this stuff or whatever. If I ever can, I'd love to put that shit on my YouTube.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? It's to me like I relish in the opportunities because in the end of the day I could talk, I could put my bid in, but in the end of the day it's really like the return. Like, I ain't never been in no farm. I ain't never been in no grow. Like it's crazy. And then I went in and I'm like, whoa, wide-eyed because it's like plants 10 feet tall. I'm looking up at the plants like they Dirk Nowitzki and shit. And I'm like, man, like, I'm being careful. It's a bunch of plants.
Yeah.
They're telling me like, dude, just run through it, bro. Like it's a fucking a prairie or something. I said, brother, like, how could I disrespect these plants like this? And I'm like, taking my tongue out at it and shit. Like I'm like really like, man, immersed in being with these plants. And like, it's a certain vibe. You know what I'm saying? And like, I relish in every opportunity that comes my way. So, like I said, the cannabis industry is beautiful, man. And like, like I said, it was real important for me to have you on because, I feel like this will definitely set the tone for what the channel will be moving forward. Real quickly, just for the YouTube people, we're gonna have joints like this, or we're gonna sit down with a nice young lady like Elle or a nice young man doing something else in another field, whether in cannabis or whatever. But we also gonna have product reviews. We're gonna have regular videos where I'm showing you how to roll. I might take a dab one video. I might sit there and just let y'all ask me questions. I ain't never had no video like that, but we gonna branch out here. You know what I'm saying? And in the end of the day, it's real dope that I even have a chance to even like the possibility to even, you understand what I'm saying? Like shit is amazing, honestly. But I know you said you were a little caught up. One last thing I want to throw out there, Elle, on top of everything else that she does, she is a mom of a beautiful young girl. So that's another reason why I feel like it's so dope what you're doing, because it's literally going to be like a football handoff. It's going to be like, you going to take it, pass it right on to the young girl.
That's generational wealth, man. You got to make for yourself, the next generation. You got to teach them how to create for themselves, right? Creating a business, creating products, creating space. It's teaching through doing, right? So they look up to you. You look up to your mom. I heard you the other day calling her on your pod,
I have to call her. I love my mom, man.
Yeah. But she told you, I mean, like I said, like the cannabis flower, right? Or the plant rather, as women, we create, we teach, we grow. We literally create life, Mother Earth, right? Mother Nature, all female entities that create life, that teach, that cultivate, right? And in the same way, I think it's so important that we teach our girls, our women, that if they have a passion for growing, creating product, or enterprise, just business in and of itself. Like it's really important to have mentors, to have representation, people that look like them so they can look up and say, hey, I can do this too. So the uphill battle isn't as high for the next generation progressively going forward,
Yes. And honestly, that, like I said, that's real important because, like you just said, I love my moms, man. And like, it's crazy because, that's all I've known. And like, in the end of the day, like I've always kind of relished in just being able to see what that perspective is from literally microscopic lens, really. It wasn't always beautiful and shit, hey, but I loved it because in the end of the day, it gave me structure. It showed me that in certain situations, you got to think of the next perspective because you don't know. You know what I'm saying? And that's a whole other can of worms that we're not gonna open this evening because God damn it, the guy.
That's another hour and a half conversation.
Because what I wanted to say real quickly, we're not gonna open this evening because I know you about to get back to your mommy duties.
I am.
Do you have any closing remarks? Anything you want to shout out? Let the people know how to get in touch with you. I already put your at on IG on the description box.
Awesome.
Take a look at it after. Let me know if you want me to add anything. Throw any information in. But anything you want to tell the people?
Yeah. If anyone's interested in the industry, having struggles, really find a mentor, find somebody that you respect, reach out, stay persistent. You know, I'm available and open too. If people want, you know, hey, how do I get involved in industry? I've got this idea. Can you help me curate it? You know, don't hold back from your dreams, your desires, you know, and if there is something holding you back, really look internal and see what is it that's holding me back, because we're all creators. We're all here. You do have a culture, you do have community. So, you know, just reach out, tap in, learn as much as you can. Don't ever stop learning. Be the best version of yourself. Give yourself grace for when you're not the best version of yourself, right? I'm actually Joey. I do have, as Joey mentioned, I have a baby girl. She's 5 months old. I have two other kids. They're older too, right? One's 19, one's 14. And you know, a lot of people, it's cliche to say, but my kids are my inspiration, right? Like I want to leave a world better than I came into it, for myself, for the next generation, but also for my children, right? I want them to be
last name. For your last name.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're my legacy, right? And so through creating business enterprise, I want to be able to make sure that I provide for them a life that is better than the life that was provided for me and you know, previously from generations above that. So, you know, cannabis is more than just cannabis. It's literally life-changing in terms of health, in terms of equality, in terms of wealth, in terms of, and when I say wealth, I mean finance, health, spiritual, all of that, right?
Right.
As women, I think a lot of women hold back. I was a professional athlete for a number of years prior to, and, you know, women and men play differently. If you're a woman, if you're in this field, don't play differently. Play who you are. Don't take a persona of somebody else either, right? Play on your strengths, use your strengths, surround yourselves with people, business partners, or whomever that compliment you, you know, and don't feel afraid to be like, I don't know the answer to this. I don't have the answer. I don't know, but somebody does. Don't be afraid to ask that somebody, you know, hey, can you help me with this? Right. There's plenty of people out there. Again, cannabis is a community, you know, stand for the ethos that you were raised in, and just strive to be the best, you know, a version of yourself, whatever that looks like, right? And don't answer to other people's idea of who they want you to be. I think that's the biggest lesson in cannabis, right? Like I went to grad school, I have a very traditional background, and there's an expectation that I, you know, became a doctor, lawyer, engineer, right? And, you know, look, I studied science. I did really well. I made good money, you know, in my career before. So I did that. And so this is something that's a passion project that's turned into a business. And America is an incredible country where we can follow our dreams, and we can really do quote unquote what we're supposed to do. So stick with it. If you have struggles, reach out to people who can help. Eat some Astral gummies. I don't know.
So my final remarks is definitely tap into Astral gummies, Astral dot treats on Instagram. If you want to check out any of their what they doing, whatever the case may be. They actually got some real dope photos out there on their Instagram. You guys have a very interesting profile. I like it a lot. I like to think that it's very stoner friendly, and you guys kind of capture that niche. You know what I mean? And, not only that, but also if you see them anywhere in the, she could correct me if I'm wrong, Beaverton, Portland, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we're at 40 or so dispensaries right now. We're expanding.
Where's the farthest you go? Where's the farthest you go?
I couldn't tell you. Hillsborough, maybe?
Hillsborough. So let's say Hillsborough, Beaverton, Portland area. Please make sure you pick up an Astral gummy. Real dope. They got right now. I know they got the blue raspberry. I think it is raspberry. Got the guava joint. The guava. I forgot. It was like a tropical flavor, right?
Grapefruit. Galactic grapefruit.
Not guava. Grapefruit. And then we got the strawberry one popping on the gummy section. Real dope gummy.
We got coming the watermelon sugar vegan.
Ooh, vegan gummies. You heard? Hey, YouTube, you heard some vegan gummies on the way. If y'all see them, tap into their Instagram. Real quickly, I want to just thank you once again, Elle. It ran a little longer than what you said. Hey, I tried my best to keep it short. I hope down the line we could collab again. And hey, feel free to reach out. You know, my line is open.
Appreciate it. You too. Let me know what we can do for you. And thanks again. It's been a pleasure. Everyone that's online, again, reach out if you have any questions, or if you want to know where to get our gummies, or if you're in the industry and want to collab, we're always open to that. We're also open to mentorship and internships too. So things like that for the young kids out there, young folks. When I say young, I mean 21 plus, obviously.
YouTube, we're not selling the kids. Believe me when I tell you.
For sure.
Everybody. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
But yeah, thanks everybody for your time. I gotta go take care of a baby, but take it easy, Joey. We'll see you soon.
Peace. I'll tap in with you, sis. Hey, so that was Elle, my peoples. I'm a go ahead and make my move real soon. Real quickly, I just wanted to give a huge shout out. Huge shout out to the Coach EO, man. Brother man, you know, he I had reached out to him on the gram, let him know that I fucks with his movement heavy. I'm tapping into a lot of the videos he's on. Shouts out to Steve the Dean as well. I'm tapped into Steve the Dean. I'm tapped into Mr. Locario. I'm tapped into a couple fellas, man. All of them in the game. I'm tapped in. Shouts out to all you guys, but shouts out to Mr. Coach EO in the game especially, man. Brother man, I appreciate those jewels you dropped on me earlier. Like I said, man, look out for. I'm gonna tell the people to look out for that collab, big dog, because I know it's gonna happen at some point, man. I know it. I know it's gonna happen, man. I know you're a busy man, but like I said, brother, I'm gonna take what you told me personally to heart, man, and I'm gonna build on it, bro. And then whenever you're ready to come through, bro, the door's open. Outside of that, to everybody else, I want to give a huge shout out to the one person that was here just about the whole stream. Shouts out to you. And shouts out to anybody that's going to watch this after the stream is over. Believe me when I tell you, we're going to keep moving. We're going to keep doing our little pre-recorded things. I'm hoping Saturday is the day we drop our first pre-recorded. But other than that, hey, keep following the movement. I ain't get to say it earlier, but as you know by the handle, I am Joey. Joey's me. This is the 17th edition of what we're going to call Hustle and Smoke. And lastly, I just want to say, for any entities I may have mentioned, feel free to tap in with me personally. As you know, hey, take advantage of it while it's for the free, my peoples. Other than that, I bid you guys a good evening. Like I said, I'm Joey. Joey's me. Tap the fuck in.